The protests accompanied a success hit by teaching staff in Western Virginia, who got a 5% pay lift and florid downward a Republican-controlled legislative body, a coup how encouraged teaching staff through the nation. Teaching staff are not the just human beings encouraged to get to the gateway. Females' marches, that begun as an answer to Donald Trump card's chairmanship, distribution through the ball for their other publication in January. So distant, although, no of these individual efforts include yet forged basic and steady policy changing, but they include energized occasionally clean debates. It remnant to be seen if these outbursts of militancy are supported and be similar to the raw force and power of the T-side motion how spring up 10 years ago among the economical collapse and helping redo the Republic side. But these revival policy forces do present a peak in betrothal and militancy how appears to include considerable chamber for increase. And they are take location at an extraordinarily politicized time, encouraged by the supporter hypertonia of the Trump card era how is dominated by a separating CEO who inspires reverence amongst supporters and hate amongst opponents. Next a painful 2016 poll how leftward profound unhealed wounds. Pragmatic, not supporter, protests it would be incorrect, yet, to type the activity by the teaching staff as supporter in environment, although demands are so far creature done of legislatures in red state wherever year of GOP strictness and tax intermittent include drained social coffers. But they do stake several characteristics of several of the some outbursts of militancy seen in the Trump card epoch. They are, for sample, seeded by public print, that allows protesters to personality organize quicker rather than their labor unions. Protests are as well belching up since human beings are vision news story scope of militancy in another place and request themselves the issue, which am I making? Alberto Morajon, an 8th class tutor in Oklahoma, was encouraged to act following vision which went on in Western Virginia. Oklahoma's teaching staff include already had several successful. The country legislative body has elected to lift taxes for the at first period in 28 year, consisting on the oil and gas production to foundation a pay growth of on $6,000. But in the country that has amongst the minimum pay labor for teaching staff in the nation, activists wish more than. A top high school tutor for sample makes an ordinary of $42,400 per year in Oklahoma, on to the Office of Labor Statistic, compared to the domestic ordinary of $61,420. Law teaching staff in the country job 2 or 3 jobs fair to pay their main billing and are disappointed at year of break promises by lawmakers to growth formation financing and miserable tutor pay in. So distant, by twinning their demands for superior salary in telephone call for and growth in high school financing, Oklahoma teaching staff include as well controlled to support the supporting of high school superintendents and parents. Their actions may as well instill pursue on protests in another place. Arizona is anticipated to be the following country hit by walkouts. Start off little consumer expectations how a wavelength of protests on various issues could grow together in a motion of domestic policy changing are tempered by the humility of several of the goals how our inspirational march. Teaching staff fair wish superior regulation and more than financing for schools. No one thinks the protests will rotate center Scarlet State's dark blue, although they could do prudent lawmakers more than sympathetic to social conducting. The guys of Stoneman Douglas Basic High School did not bosom momentum in convention above change-fed gun laws. But they did include several successful in coercion country lawmakers in Florida to challenge the domestic gun associate and lift the minimal age for gun purchases to 21 of 18. More than importantly, the Florida high school guys modified the regulation of the domestic gun discussion and stipulated a pattern for survivors of next gun tragedies to rotate their own heavy loss in policy activity. The millions of female who took to the gateway to outcry Trump card include not succeeded in ousting the CEO. Their testing will go in 2018 and 2020 while it will be show if militancy translates in actual votes in elections. Yet in a path, the teaching staff, gun law protesters and marcher female do stake a basic motive, how may though as well assist explanation the Narodnik uprising how helping Trump card get selected in 2016. All implicated is widely manufacturing the spot how the policy framework and such in force include unsuccessful them, occasionally in the largest basic of ways, for copy, provided jobs in Midwestern state or offer a main formation or compliance guys secure in their classrooms. Winner policy communication? How the protests of 2018 will eventually overwrite Fed policy remnant to act of. But no one side can provide to guideline out the opportunity how the policy sheet changing now could color the intermediate elections in November. If the ghost of uprising heats up, it could changing the assumptions of Republicans, who trust marketing recent years' large tax cut is their top reason, and Democrats who are fighting to go up in an economical communication to win behind supporters who defected to Trump card in 2016. If the protests wane or spread could as well swivel on if a charisma political figure can corral in the wrath and mold it in a winner policy communication, as Trump card did on migration amongst Herb Cradle Conservative Party 2 years back, and reason he extended to drown in a weekend chirp tempest. One capacity more Democratic president applicant, Senator Elizabeth Warren on Monday showed how she might tap in the Tudor protests, by dividing a folk memoir of her second-class Tudor mistress. Shelter. Trump card, in spite of explosion of policy attacks on different issues in latter days, has yet to wade in on the Tudor protests. But blood pressure is growing for him to do so. I would love to listen fair messages of supporting of all levels, consisting CEO Trump card, told Oklahoma Tudor Allison Cubitt. Taking into account such a passions, political community will disregard protests sweep the nationality at their danger.